Earning an executive MBA at Georgetown isn't the path of least resistance, but it does come with the greatest reward. Benefit from our strong alumni network, renowned faculty, DC location, and global residencies. Get started at choosegeorgetown.com/EMBA.
Blog Talk Radio.
Alternative facts.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. At 12:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, numerous unidentified objects of unknown intent and unknown origin were detected at high altitudes over multiple locations of Earth's outer space by the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and these objects are presumed to be some form of controlled aircraft. It is not known if more of these aircraft will arrive, or if they will attempt entering Earth's atmosphere. United States citizens are encouraged to monitor local media outlets, as more updates will follow as information becomes available. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. The dead are rising from their graves and are attacking the human race. At this time, it is expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind their attack is unknown at this time. It has been observed that a byte or exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. This is an extremely dangerous situation if they crave the taste of human flesh. It is not known whether this event will last for hours, days, or even longer. Stay calm, as authorities have been dispatched to deal with these creatures. An all-clear siren will be sounded when this situation is under control. Pacific Standard Time, nor is detected a long-range nuclear missile launcher. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of all residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host, Rodney the Viking Shortridge, co-host, Melinda the Raven Jackson. Want to give a big old shout out to the Facebook paranormal groups that allow us to post our shows on their pages and helping us to get the word out about all of our guests. Also, a shout out to the Connor sisters. Hats off to Misty and Ashley. They are the founders of SOS Sisters of Salem Paranormal Research Society and host of their podcast, Paranormal Party. You can find them on Facebook under Paranormal Party. If anyone would like to speak to Black Diamond Paranormal Society, BDPS, to discuss your paranormal questions or issues, go to our website at blackdiamondps.org or email blackdiamondps@yahoo.com. As always, our services are free.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by calling 516-387-1922, or you can go to the Vibe Radio Network website at blogtalkradio.com, Vibe Radio Network. For deep within the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my beautiful raven, Melinda Jackson. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to my cousins up in Ohio, Jennifer and Joe Shortridge of 222 Paranormal. If you get a chance, check out their talk show. You can find them on Facebook under 222 Paranormal.
Do you hear him? The Phantom is coming. Are you ready?
Phantom Fest is going to be held on November 3rd in Lebanon, Virginia at the Russell County Convention Center. You won't want to miss this one-of-a-kind con that combines all the mysteries and the macabre of UFOs, paranormal, gaming, horror, authors, comics, FX, metaphysical, spiritual, and more. Join us for $7 at the door. Tickets will only be $5 if you bring 2 non-perishable items for a local food bank. Children up to the age of 6 can join us for free. There will be costume contests, speakers, and just the camaraderie of freaks alike. Join us for the first ever Phantom Fest. You won't want to miss this.
If you would like to participate as a vendor or a sponsor or just to visit the con, please reach out to either Rodney Shortridge of Black Diamond Paranormal or Missy and Ashley Connor of the Connor Sisters.
I really love that commercial, man. They did a great job with that.
Yeah.
So, Melinda, I'm going to go ahead and ask you right now. How was your week?
Very busy.
Damn, you always say you're busy.
I am busy. I'm
Can't you say something else? Well, I went out and bought some cocaine the other night, and it was a bad deal.
very busy. My job's busy. My hobbies are busy.
Hobbies? What hobbies you got?
I'm doing this with you, the paranormal, and then
This is not a hobby. This is a damn job, woman.
Well, I didn't clock in.
Don't feel bad. I didn't either.
But I do want to say that real quick. I want to send some blessings out, and love and light to the victims in Florida and the other states who are being affected by the Hurricane Michael.
Yes, sir. Yes, our thoughts are with Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina.
Absolutely.
South and North Carolina cannot take no more water. Damn, they're getting too much water.
For real.
Hell, we're even getting too much water. We're just catching the ass edge of
There's
it.
standing water everywhere.
Yeah. Somebody wants to shoot some pool. It's not a good time. Well, let me get to our guest for tonight. Tonight, our special guest is the beautiful and multi-talented Victoria De Mare. Victoria is one of Hollywood's reigning hottest horror scream queens. I love her already. For over a decade, according to the cover feature editorial article of the January 2017 issue of Hustler magazine. Lord, I ain't bought one of them in forever. She has appeared in over 110 films and TV productions and counting. I tell you, this girl is busy. She is best known for her creation and portrayal of the sexy demon succubus clown, Batty
Boop.
I was getting ready to say something else. Damn it, I lost it. Okay, from the horror comedy feature series Killjoy, which I've seen. I went online and looked at a few the video clips. I've got to watch these.
Yes, I liked it too. I
This
watched them
is
today.
awesome. Which is now available as a resin doll statue action fixture, courtesy of Full Moon Collectables Worldwide. And I have to get me one of them. Victoria is a graduate of New York University with a BA in theater arts and broadcast journalism. Wow, she's smart too.
Very smart.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. In addition to being a prolific character actor, she is also a published writer, published poet, professional model, live talk show host and producer, as well as a professional dancer. I don't think I have enough questions for this woman.
No.
Oh my God, I'm screwed. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and click her over. So it's my honor to welcome our beautiful and multi-talented special guest, Victoria De Mare. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Damn, that was a mouthful.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming on. I was afraid you might listen to some of the other shows and be like, I ain't going on that show.
Oh no, I'm always happy to appear on anyone's show. I love doing interviews. I love publicity. I love your show. All shows are fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I'm blushing too. She's blushing. It's hard to get me to blush. So, Victoria,
Awesome.
we'll start out, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself and what started you on the path into the theater arts and broadcast journalism.
Since I was a child, just being glued to the television and watching all my favorite movies and TV shows, and I just wanted to climb through the screen of my television and join them. I'd run up into my bedroom and bathroom and act out all the scenes of my favorite movies in the mirror in my room, and make up my own little skits and such like that when I was as little as I can remember. So I guess I was just born with the desire to perform. My mom was a professional ballet dancer, so I was introduced to the arts right out of the womb, as you might say. And it just kind of took off from there. I didn't have a choice of whether I was going to go to college or not. My parents were insisting, and they were paying for it, so I was going for it. And so I picked a bunch of schools that had really strong theater arts program and television journalism programs because I was very interested in TV and radio media, and just applied, and I was accepted at New York University at my audition. They were like, hey, if you want to come here, we want you. So that's always nice when you're applying to school and you go and audition and you already get in. You don't even have to wait for an acceptance letter. So that was very thrilling.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, you're also a model. And, what got you on that road to being a model, and what types of modeling do you do? And which would you say is your favorite type of modeling that you do? There's a lot of do's in there.
That I do, yes. Well, I was the one in my family always running to the mailbox to get my brother's swimsuit edition of the Sports Illustrated magazine that he was a subscriber of. I always just loved that issue with all the beautiful girls in swimsuits all over the place in these exotic places. So, again, as a child, I would go out into the yard with my disposable camera or my Polaroid camera I think I had at a time, and was taking self-portraits of myself. Of course, way back then, we just called them self-portraits. They weren't selfies on smartphones like they are now, and take all kinds of pictures of myself posing and modeling like the girls I saw in the magazines. And I just always really aspired to do that, and was told from a very young age that I would never be a model. I wasn't. I was real cute, but I wasn't attractive enough, and I certainly wasn't tall enough and beautiful enough, and I'd never make it as a model, and I'd never be a model. And well, I disagreed and pursued that career in any event. And in the face of all the negativity and all the no's, I said, screw you, and I'm going to try and go do this anyway. And I just started making appointments with photographers to create a portfolio, and I was always really comfortable in front of the camera and had been performing since I was a child. So getting headshots, taken portfolios for submissions for work was never difficult for me. It was always very exciting. And I was actually in Los Angeles at a party at an art gallery that was having an opening night party for an exhibition for an artist, and actually was approached, just hanging out with my boyfriend, enjoying the exhibit. I knew the owner of the gallery, and just went to kind of be supportive. And a man approached me at the gallery and asked me if I was a model. And in Hollywood, if you're asked if you do anything or are anything, you just say yes and figure it out later, because you never know what that opportunity might lead to. And I said yes, even though at the time I was not a professional model. And it was actually a job to be hired to be Astor Morgan's featured model. Astor Morgan is a very famous photographer and creator of LA Magazine. And yeah, and so that was really exciting. My first professional job was for a hugely famous photographer. So I sat there doing those photo sessions and thought, screw you, all you haters and idiots that told me that I'd never do something. And then I learned very quickly to never listen to the naysayers in that moment, that whatever it is that you aspire to do, dream of doing, it doesn't matter if you're 50, 80, 16, 5, or 12, or 25, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can still do it. It's never too late. And whatever it is you are dreaming of, you can make it happen. You just have to put the gears into motion.
I agree. But I got this I just out of the blue. Oh, where are you from? Your accent, I'm trying to guess, because I've been all over the country when I used to drive a tractor trailer, and I cannot pick your accent.
Well, I don't really think I have an accent. I was born in Delaware and raised in New York City, so I don't really think I have an accent. But I guess if you're hearing anything regional, it's that Northeast regional accent. And I forgot to answer your last other question, your C question to your last question. What's my favorite kind of modeling? My favorite kind of modeling is actually glamour modeling, kind of modeling that's kind of risque. It's technically called implied nudity, where you're naked but none of your wobbly bits or goodies are showing to the camera. No nipple, no areola, no hoo-ha, no hiney, nothing like that. That's my favorite kind of modeling. It's the teasing of making people believe they see more than they do.
Yeah, I like that kind of modeling too, because it does. It wants you, makes you want more.
It's sexier because you're not actually
right.
Yeah.
See, I'm a photographer.
Right. You're not giving anything away. You're just kind of hinting at it that it's there.
It's tempting. Like, you want to see it, don't you? But you're not going to. Well, who is your favorite photographer that you've worked with, and why?
Oh, I would definitely say Astor Morgan is one of my favorite photographers I've ever worked with. Also, Mark Tierney and Jeff Leroy. I like photographers who it's very important when succeeding on getting good photographs that you can work with, that it's really a team effort. It's not just the model, it's not just the photographer, it's the combination of that magic. The photographer really understanding light, really understanding composition, really understanding camera angles, really understanding their subject, the model in and of themselves, and the model understanding the same thing, camera angles, what makes a camera work, lighting, and the photographer's eye, knowing what they see through that lens and how they portray you. So it really is a team effort. And Astor Morgan really impressed me on his ability to know his subject so quickly, even if it's someone that he hasn't worked with before, to figure them out by the end of the day, and get some really magical, lasting images. And I've worked with Mark Tierney and Jeff Leroy for years, so I feel that they know me very well, and I know them very well. So we've made some really incredible art together.
Okay. Well, this is kind of like a speed round. You got so many careers. It's like, okay, well, we touched on that. Let's touch on something else. Yeah, ding.
Away, man. Fire away.
Okay, we've hit the journalism, we've hit the modeling. Now let's get into the acting. So,
okay.
I kind of want to ask how you got into it, but I'm going to say, how did you get into it professionally?
Well, I had the opportunity to write and star in my own short film when I was a kid, in about 8th grade, going into my freshman year of high school, and so that really set me off. I really didn't start working professionally until after I graduated from New York University and was working in New York, and then when I relocated to Los Angeles, California, I was always really obsessed with horror films when I was a kid. Just I wasn't allowed to watch them, so that might have contributed to it. The forbidden, you can't do, if you're told you can't do something, then that's the one thing you want to do. So when I was a little girl and video stores were invented, I always ran to the horror section and stood in front of all those VHS boxes, just googly-eyed at the artwork and just like, oh my God, I want to watch these movies. I want to be in these movies. It wasn't allowed. I'd go to the Disney section and stand in front of all the princess movies. I went right for, Fright Night and Children of the Corn and Friday the 13th and stuff like that. So, when I moved to California, I had an opportunity to audition for a Roger Corman produced horror film, and him being one of the king of the bees, I was really thrilled. I felt that I had made it when I was hired to work with him. I did 2 films with him back to back, and that kind of set me off in my career in the horror genre, which is the most popular genre worldwide next to comedy. So I was very excited about that. I'm not just a horror fan. But I really am into the stories and the creation of those onto the screen and how people react to them. I really love them. I don't actually watch too many horror movies actually anymore. I don't tell anyone because I get so into it and so scared. I'm the one watching the film through my fingers with my hand over my face. So I prefer to make them rather than watch them. But it's exhilarating to create that kind of experience for the viewer. So that wasn't really until 1999, 2000 that I really started working professionally in film.
Okay, well, how did you become a screen queen?
Well, I did so many horror films back to back in a really short amount of time that 2006 I started doing a bunch of interviews and publicities for like Yahoo.com and MSN.com and such where their journalists were titling their stories Hollywood's hottest screen queen, Victoria De Mare, and just one after the other, I guess, doing their research, just saw that I was kind of really up and coming, exploding in the low budget B indie horror community. So the media started calling me a screen queen, and I just kept running with that for the entirety of my career. Of course, I don't only do horror. I do probably more comedy and drama at this point, but I'm loyal to the horror genre and will always do horror films, and look forward to doing horror on a much bigger level very soon.
Awesome. Well, you was in the January 2017 issue of Hustler magazine. Can you explain, what that entailed, what that was like, and what was it about?
Yeah, I was contacted by an editor at Hustler magazine named Kelly Webb, who was pitching to Larry Flint to do the feature editorial article of that issue, which is different from all the modeling spreads of all the pretty naked girls and their pornographic spreads. This was actually the feature editorial article which is really funny because it's always a joke about guys saying, I subscribe to those magazines for the articles. Yeah, well, I was actually in one of those articles and not, because it was a 6-page spread, and then people say, oh, you were in a 6-page spread in Hustler. Yeah, but not with my leg spread. Spread was an article, an interview about me, my life and my career. Get it straight, you know what I'm saying? So I was thrilled. I couldn't believe that she had reached out to me. They had chosen 4 women in horror that were extremely prominent, and that Hustler wanted to do an article about being, horror's hottest reigning screen queens in Hollywood, because prior to that, the year before, Playboy had released an issue of the 50th greatest screen queens of all time. So Hustler wanted to do a follow-up issue of the hottest horror actresses, screen queens working in horror now, not accumulatively of all time. So I actually made the list of the 4 that they chose that were horror's hottest screen queens working now in Hollywood. And the article made the top of the cover. It says the final girls, horror's hottest screen queens. And there's a little sneak peek picture in the top right corner of the magazine of Danielle Harris, who is a star from the Halloween series and such. And so having Danielle in that little sneak peek photo really helps sales, I think. And it's a beautiful spread with Danielle Harris, Erin Marie Hogan, Pandy Suicide, and myself. Well, I guess I was actually credited third, and Panty Suicide was fourth. And we did a beautiful roundtable interview, which was really fun and funny with Kelly. We did a whole pictorial spread where the other girls were they wanted to do a spread where we were in white and photographed in a bright white blown out background but covered in blood. So the other girls did white lingerie covered in blood, and I did partial white lingerie covered in blood but topless, because I thought this is probably the only chance I'm ever going to be in Hustler magazine, so I'm going to get the tatas out. And they had me in partial lingerie and topless covered in blood, which was real fun. Very sticky, but very fun. We had a fantastic day doing that shoot. It was really wonderful. It's the biggest nationally distributed magazine or worldwide magazine I've ever appeared in. They have over 3 million subscribers worldwide on a monthly basis.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, you've been in, if I'm not mistaken, 3 of the Killjoy movies, and you created the character Batty Boop. And
That's
where did
correct.
you? I got it right that time. Where did you get your inspiration, for this character? And can you just describe the character for everyone that's listening that may not know?
Sure. Yeah, the Killjoy feature series, distributed by Film and Features, is a 5-film feature series. I do appear in 3 of the 5. I come into the series in Killjoy 3 or Killjoy's Revenge or Killjoy the Demon Clown. It has like 3 different titles now. As Killjoy's girlfriend, he comes back into the series. The premise of the entire series is that Killjoy is a demon clown of revenge that's summoned from someone who wants to wreak revenge on someone. So when he comes back in 3, he brings a posse with him that he creates, his girlfriend and then 2 henchmen. And the writer-director of that film is a filmmaker named John Lachago, who's a longtime colleague and friend of mine from many, many years ago. And he saw a film I did in 2004 called Shadows, where I played this really sassy, bitchy girl in college. And he really enjoyed my performance in that. And he had the opportunity from Charles Band to create the script for Killjoy 3 and also to direct it. So he thought, oh, God, writing the female lead in this film, like, what am I going to do with this? So he remembered my performance so much and was so impressed from that film Shadows that he wrote Batty Boop with me in mind, and contacted me after the screenplay was completed and approved, and said, Victoria, you have to read this because you're the only actor that I know that can play this off. I know that you'll read it and you'll get exactly where it needs to go, and you'll do exactly with her what needs to be done. And I was like, okay, and I read it, and I thought, well, this is an incredible opportunity. She was almost like a comic book character, but coming from a movie, not from a comic book. So I thought that was an incredible opportunity. And I said, what do you want to do with her? And he said, well, she needs to be larger than life. She needs to have some kind of accent or sound. She needs to speak and sound a certain way. She needs to move a certain way. Her behavior has to be a certain way. And guess what? Her entire wardrobe is actually non-wardrobe. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I want to paint your body. I think you have a really great physique, and I want to use that as Batty's wardrobe. So basically her whole wardrobe would be body paint and a wig and a boa and a pair of gloves and some boots. What do you think about that? And I was like, let's do it. So we did a bunch of makeup tests, and John Lachago is also a fine artist with a degree. So he drew out very intricate sketches of what he wanted Batty Boop's skin to look like and her body to look like. So we worked on that with special effects artist Tom Devlin from the successful sci-fi series Face Off. And we came up with something that really worked. And it took me 5 to 5.5 hours to get into that makeup every day and 2.5 hours to get out on all 3 of the films. It was really challenging long days for Victoria De Mare because we shot about 12 hours straight and with a 30-minute lunch break. And I had a 5 to 6 hour pre-call to get ready to shoot those 5 hours. Then when everybody else was going home, I was still in the shower in my dressing room getting out of that makeup. So I was really working approximately a 19-hour days when we were shooting those films. So it was incredibly challenging for your mind, your body, and your health. And your sanity, because you really just got to start going insane. It was really difficult and challenging. I really love her. I was astounded that Moon Collectables wanted to create an action figure doll based on photos that they took of me, 360 photos against a green screen, and sent to the toy manufacturer in China. And I couldn't believe it when the distributor was sending me pictures of crates of baddies, thousands of baddies that they were shipping for sales. I couldn't believe it. And they put my name on the box, so I will eternally be remembered. A lot of those big characters, you know the actors' names because they're big superstars, and you may not know an indie B actor who played a really cool part. So it was really important to me to have my name on the box. Everyone would eternally know who played and created that character. So it was one of the most thrilling experiences of my professional career as an actor, and certainly one of my most favorite characters I've ever played. I'm eternally grateful to John Machago for having that kind of confidence in me. It was incredibly difficult to play a role like that fully nude, and not to be, self-conscious or in any way to hint to the audience that you're nude. I mean, so many people have thought that I was wearing a suit. Even the producer of the film, even the distributor of the first film that we did, we just really love, we got to get that suit again. She just looks so good in that suit. And, the makeup department and the director and myself are like, what the fuck? That was no suit, dude. That was my body. So that was really cool. That was a really cool reaction that a lot of people didn't even realize it. My parents watched it, and both of them concurred separately that if they hadn't known or saw that I was in that film and in those films and had saw my name, that they would have never even recognized their own child. So that was a really wonderful compliment.
Well, I know when I watched the video clip of Batty, I sent it to Melinda, and I said, "You're going to be surprised. This girl is wearing body paint." And she's like, "What? Really?" I said, "She's wearing body paint. How can you tell?" "I'm a man. I can tell."
Yeah, it isn't easy. You kind of just have to forget that. I mean, that was who she was, and that was her body. So you have to just live that and be that and get into that space. It took a lot of preparation to get into the character before I got onto set, and then once we started shooting, I just stayed in character all day. That's not something you can really flop out of and be able to perform believably. So it was very challenging, and physically it was very challenging. I worked out, exercised very hard to feel confident to portray that character in that way, and have no clothes to hide under, and to have everything kind of be hanging out, look good, but look okay, and from every angle. The camera distorts you terribly, horizontally, vertically, in a 360 sense. It just completely distorts your body in every way, and depending upon what the camera angle is, what lens they're using, what lighting they're using, et cetera, et cetera. So you can be, 80 pounds in a stick figure, and then you see yourself on camera and you look like you weigh 300 pounds, and you're like, how did that happen? And it's just because of the camera. It's a technicality. So you have to kind of work with that and do your best and kind of forget the camera's rolling, even though you know the camera's rolling.
We're like, yeah, let me go pump some air before I go out there. Let me suck this gut.
Well, when you're when you're make a living being on camera and photographed all the time, you could become very well aware of the way you look. You don't want to stumble into bad lighting or a bad camera angle; it'll just ruin your whole day. So I did work very hard on that. And a lot of what most people don't know is that when you're making a low budget film like that, you don't have a lot of time for takes. You're shooting maybe about 10 plus scenes a day, when studio films shoot 1 or 2 a day. So if you're shooting 10 to 15 on a low budget movie, it's an entirely different situation. A studio film could take up to 10 days to shoot one scene. You're shooting 10 to 15 scenes in a day on a low budget film. So it's a completely different environment. So my performance in all 3 of those films, Killjoy 3, Killjoy Goes to Hell, and the final film, Killjoy Psycho Circus, was mostly all one take. That was one take. I nailed it in one take. The director was thrilled. Victoria came to work today doing her homework. I have a professional on set. This is great. We can move on and get ahead of the schedule instead of behind. You can't have an actor on a B movie or a low-budget movie that needs 10, 15, 20 takes, or even 5 or 8. It just fills the schedule. It kills everyone, and it ends up costing the production more money because you're not ready. So what movies most people don't know is that performance is mostly one take. I can tell you where in Killjoy Psycho Circus that we did 2 takes just of one shot of my performance when Killjoy and I are having a discussion about him and I and what we're going to be doing in our relationship. And John Latago wanted me to deliver a line where I tell him that I love him differently, where he wanted a deadpan and the accent gone and dropped and just total deadpan straight forward delivery. And so we did a second take on that just because of a technical desire from the director. But the rest of that entire performance in 3 films, 3 feature films, was one take.
Wow, that's impressive.
Very.
Thank you.
So is there any A-listers that you'd like to work with or that you have worked with? Any of the big shots?
Not that gosh, I wish, not yet. There are a ton that I'd love to work with. I would love to work with Christian Bale. I would love to work with Gary Oldman. He's my favorite actor of all time. I'd love to work with Cate Blanchett. I would love to work with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'd love to work with Tom Cruise and his exceptionalism. I can't believe that he's been over the title billing for like 30 years since Whiskey Business. That is incredibly impressive. There's a whole bunch of filmmakers, Guillermo del Toro, Paul Thomas Anderson, Steven Spielberg, Oliver Stone, all of which I'd absolutely kill to work with.
Oh. Okay.
Hello, Victoria.
I'm going to take a break.
You going to take a break?
Take a break.
Okay, I got this.
Yeah, okay, your turn.
So with talking about the title Scream Queens, who's your favorite?
I would say Jamie Lee Curtis is probably my favorite screen queen of all time. I'm also a big fan of Tiffany Shepis. I'm also a big fan of Jamie Bernadette and Sadie Katz. I would say Debbie Rochon is also a big favorite of mine. I would say that group of women in general are I think, are exceptional and very inspiring to me.
Okay. What are some of the horror films and TV series that you've worked on?
What are some of the horror films and TV series I've worked on? Well, I have about 120. Cumulatively with music, I have about 120 credits going on right now. Let's see. A lot.
What's
let's just say hundreds. Well, I definitely would say Killjoy 3, Killjoy Goes to Hell, which is Killjoy 4, and Killjoy Psycho Circus, which is Killjoy 5. Those are favorites of mine. I also loved working on Bio Slime, which was another John Latago production. I also really loved working with Corky Quakenbush on a production called The Video Diary of Nikki Belletti and Adam Greeley. I also really love, currently I'm working on a production now called Hanukkah, directed by Eben McGarr, who I'm starring in with Sid Haig and Charles Fleschner and PJ Souls and Sadie Katz, called Hanukkah, about a Hanukkah killer on taking people out on Hanukkah, which has been really incredible. So many. I had an episode on the Latina series called Vita, which is not a horror series, but I had a really incredible time working with them. The showrunner Tanya on that series is really amazing. Gosh, there's just so many. I've just so many. I love working with John Huckard on Strangers Online. That sci-fi horror film was really awesome. Working on Predator World with Jeff Leroy. That's out now everywhere, which I also have music in. I really loved working on Werewolf in a Woman's Prison. That's become a classic cult horror film that I had a blast working on with my longtime friends, Jeff Leroy and Vincent Blanchio. We also did follow-ups to that film, Dracula in a Women's Prison, Frankenstein in a Women's Prison, which were also some of my favorites to work on. We just had a real blast. There are so many. I could go on all night.
Wow.
Would you say Batty Boop is your favorite character? And if not, what is your favorite character to play?
Yes, Batty Boop has definitely been my favorite character to play so far in my career. I also really enjoyed. Hello?
But we're here. I'm
Hello?
sorry.
Okay. I heard the system making a chiming bell sound. I wasn't sure. Batty Boop is definitely one of my favorites. I also really love the character. I worked in Corky Quakenbush's film. Her name is Melissa. That film hasn't come out yet. I really love that. I also really love working with Thomas Haley on a film called The Crossing, which also has not come out yet. I played a central character in that, the bride. It was a story of a girl and her fiance on their way to be married, and they get in a car accident, and her fiance is killed, and they're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no help, and so she takes herself out, and she vows to never stop coming back from the dead to take out all the people who are off to get married, and that if they can't have her happily ever after, then no one ever will. So that was really fun. That was really amazing playing that role. And the current role that I'm playing now, Amanda, in the Hanukkah movie, she is the final girl in the film, and she goes through the most horrifying and horrific, terrifying, and excruciating scenes, I think, that have ever been filmed in a horror movie, aside from any of the torture porn-like genre. This is not that at all. This is a straight-up slasher horror film, but some of the scenes that she goes through are so horrific. You keep expecting her to die, and she never dies, and she actually survives. And I'm not really giving any spoilers away either, but it's been an incredible experience playing this role, and some of the most horrific and emotional work that I've done on screen in a long time.
Okay. What role have you not done thus far that's something that you would like to do?
That's a great question. I'd love to play. I had a couple opportunities last year and this year to audition for some mentally challenged characters, characters that were borderline special needs and had serious mental disabilities and were either hospitalized or in some kind of program for someone with such disabilities. So I've been really interested in trying to be cast in a role like that. I would really love to play that. I'm also getting ready to work on a film with filmmaker Michael Finoli called Ball and Chain, which is actually a comedy. And in it, I'm playing a role that I've also always really aspired to play as a woman who's a total hot mess, just a complete freaking disaster. And we're going into production next month in November, so I'm really excited to play her.
Okay. What do you feel is your greatest weakness as an actress?
I have none.
Wow.
I've been a professional performer for over 20 years. I have none.
So what would you say your greatest strengths are?
All my skills as an actor are my greatest strengths. Most of the people that I work with comment, and I go to auditions all the time where casting directors comment that you're the most talented actor I've ever had in my room and have ever stood this close to and actually seen do work like this. So, and most people that I work with are always really impressed by my work. I always stand out on set, and so I'd say all my skills as an actor are my strengths. I've dedicated my life to what I do as an actor, so I'm in the game to win it. So I play to win. So I take it very, very, very seriously. I have no weaknesses as an actor.
Okay. Well, with that being said, what is it really like to work in Hollywood as an actress? Like overall.
Overall, it's an excruciating, almost impossible process. I would say if you're not obsessed with it and you're not literally willing to dedicate your entire life to it, meaning sacrificing personal things in your life, personal relationships, anything that you could possibly think of, then don't do it because you won't get anywhere because it's that hard. There are zillions of people that drive into Hollywood every goddamn day thinking that they're going to be the next thing. And most of them don't succeed because they don't understand what it takes. And what it takes is the ability to survive and to keep working. If you're a working actor in Hollywood, period, you're a success. Getting to the upper levels and A-list levels and multi-billion-dollar levels is a whole other ball game. But just getting on the radar and being on the field and in the game, most people are not able to do. 0.1 out of 10 people every year are actually able to succeed in that they are a working actor and don't need to supplement their income from working in a coffee shop or a restaurant. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what I'm saying is, just trying to actually answer your question, is that it's almost impossible. It's not, but it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost impossible, but it's not if you have the right mindset and if you have a game plan. And you really just have to be willing to do whatever it takes and meaning sacrifice things that most people wouldn't sacrifice, and just be able to survive. Really, it's a long distance run, and if you don't have the stamina to stay moving, then get off the road, because you're just in the way, and it's just too hard to even get a job every day, than to kind of do it half-ass and kind of have a backup plan. If you have a backup plan, that's going to become your plan. The only way to succeed as a performer is to have that be your only plan.
Okay. Unfortunately, there is a dark side of Hollywood, with the Me Too movement that's going on. Has that affected you in any way? And what is your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I think the whole Me Too movement of the current, quote, Me Too movement is very inaccurate. That stuff in Hollywood goes on every day and has been going on since the beginning of Hollywood in the 20s. It's kind of an industry standard. It only gets out to the public where most people don't know, and then it hits the media, and the media goes crazy with it when a whistleblower steps up and says, I can't take this anymore, and blows the whistle and calls someone out. Most people on the super high levels, people knew about Harvey Weinstein for years and years and years and years, but no one wanted to say anything because they're in his Academy Award nominated movie, and then they won an Academy Award from being in his Academy Award nominated movie, and they're all making zillions of dollars. So nobody wants to be blacklisted and pull the plug. But it happens when people are doing disgusting, ugly, illegal things. Some whistleblowers go, I don't care if I'm going to get blacklisted, and I'm done with this, and I'm coming out and I'm speaking out. I'm telling the truth. It's happened to me several times. It happened to me on set. Come into my dressing room and tried to molest me, touch me, grab my breast, come on to me, lock doors behind me when they think that I didn't see it, but I could see it in the mirror in my dressing room. I've been harassed and touched or attempted to be touched at auditions. Again, on set, already hired, in my dressing room, on set, in front of other crew members, at events. It happens all the time. You just have to decide, what your morals are and what your limits are and what your lines are. And, we all have to look at ourselves in the mirror every morning. So, I've never done anything to jeopardize my integrity or reputation in any way. I always just try to sidestep things in a polite way. And, when it's happening on set, I have the Screen Actors Guild number, like every actor should, on my phone. And so what you're supposed to do is just call and report it. And a SAG representative will come out to the set, and the correct department will contact the producers of the production, and they'll find them and deal with it accordingly. It's never jeopardized or threatened my life. If it's a life-threatening situation, of course I would take it to the authorities. But it happens all the time, and just because people are speaking out and all Me Too and this and that doesn't mean shit. Honestly, it's still going to go on. I'm an insider in Hollywood. I've been working in Hollywood again for over 20 years, so it's not going anywhere. People might think twice about who they harass or who they do it to, because it might be a whistleblower, and then they might get in trouble. But there's no happy ending for either person, not the whistleblower or the person getting in trouble, because the whistleblower is forever blacklisted, and the person who committed the crimes, life is ruined. So, there's no light at the end of that tunnel. It's going to continue to go on, and all you can do is just try and sidestep it to the best of your ability, and just try and stay out of it. And it's not just women too. I know men. I know plenty of men that are harassed in the same way. I mean, what most people don't understand is the people who run Hollywood are gay Jewish men. So it happens to men sometimes more than it happens to women. I know men, and on both sides, the corporate side and the performance side, it happens to people in big positions, people in mid positions, low positions, people who are, the suits behind the production, and the people who are, in the cast and crew making it happen. It happens on every level.
You're right, because I had seen somewhere, I can't think of what his name is, but he's a African-American actor. He's a bald-headed guy,
Mm-hmm.
like really muscular. He had said something about him and his wife were at a party.
Terry Crews.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And that this guy had just reached over and grabbed him between his legs right there in front of his wife.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. It happens to men just as much, if not more, than women. Just with the men, that's really kept quiet and swept under the rug. There's a lot of performers in Hollywood are homosexual or bisexual, and they don't want to share that information with the world. And but the inside of the industry knows, and so then that can almost be controlled as being even quieter, because people don't really want certain people. Some people are out and they're fine with that, and that's great. But some people will prefer to keep it quiet. So it happens to men too, harassed by men, and men being harassed by women too. Women in powerful positions harassing, men for, sexual favors in exchange for money and power. It happens all the time. It happens every day.
Well, how do you remain positive and focused within your roles?
I have really obscene dreams and goals for myself. So I guess I just hold those dear to my heart. And wanting so badly to accomplish those things, to make my mother proud before she passes on to the next life. I'd really like to see her. I'd really like to have her see me succeed on a really exceptional level while she can. So that's really important to me. That really thrives my passion. And how I really stay focused on set and my work and my roles is that I talk to the people in charge when I get there on my first day and tell them what I need and when I'm working and when I step on the set, and the quiet and the focus that I need. It's a lot of fun making a movie, but it's also really, really, really hard work and really, really, really long hours. And when people are lollygagging and joking around and goofing off, it just makes the day even longer and harder for everyone. So let's laugh and lollygag, later, and let's get the work done tonight. And so I just really need quiet and focus, and I use music a lot in my preparation for my characters and my character study before I get to set, and when I'm preparing to perform on set. I use music. I always request a place where I can be alone and be loud, where I'm not disturbing anyone. So if I need to yell and scream and throw things around to get my energy up, or, do some yoga sun salutations or do sprints running around, I don't want to be disturbing anybody else. So to get my energy up and focused, I always ask for a place where I can be alone and loud. And when I'm on set, everyone really to be on point and on their game and focus, so that we can get this quickly and move on. I'm known as a quote one take fuck, that I don't it doesn't take me many takes to get there. I mostly nail it in one, and so it's that's not everybody who does that or even can do that. So that requires some serious focus and quiet and preparation. If you come in prepared, you'll hit the ground running.
Awesome.
So, have you done any theater?
Oh yes, I've done tons of theater. I used to be a member of the Gangbusters Theater Company in Hollywood, California. I've performed. I'm a member of the Actors Equity Association, which is the theater union. I've done tons of theater in New York, underground black box theater, and the Theater Row community out on Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood, California. musicals, dramas, all of the above. Theater is wonderful. It's incredible. It just doesn't pay as much as film and TV.
Okay. What have you learned from the directors that you've worked with throughout your career?
Don't work with amateurs because they'll just piss you off.
There you go.
If you're working with a director that you've done 10 times more of the work, then that doesn't necessarily mean they're not a good director and don't have a good ideas and it's not going to be a good project, but it probably means that definitely means that they're not experienced as you are, and so they may not know certain etiquette or things, or know it but haven't put it into practice. So it's just going to irritate you and piss you off. So don't work with a director who's an amateur when you're a professional.
Well, do you do any producing, writing, or directing, for any films or TV?
No, I mean, I've produced my own music videos. I produced a TV show that aired for 2 years in the UK that was a live TV show called The Chat Lounge on the Sky Channel that aired in England, Scotland, and Ireland, and Wales for a couple of years, about a decade ago now. Wow, time flies. And then I produced my own show, which was a spinoff from that, called Chat Cafe with Victoria De Mare, and those were live talk shows. That's the only TV I've really produced. Music videos and my music. I produce all my music. I have my third album just came out on September 18th called Hashtag. And I'm writing new music for the Hanukkah movie I was talking about earlier. So I produce all that, but films, no. I had an opportunity lately, or been approached with an opportunity to produce a film alongside producer Trevor Doyle of a feature, or possibly a slate of features by director Ralph Konevsky. So I love him. So I will be producing some feature films in the very near future. We're in development on a couple things right now.
What is some advice that you would give to someone aspiring to become an actor?
Be honest with yourself and really ask yourself really important questions. And if you have to sit with it for a couple days, asking yourself these questions and really defining the answers, then do so. Really find out what it really is that you want, what you really want your daily life to be. Think about it really clearly, write down some ideas, and really have a plan. I mean, miracles just don't show up on your doorstep and are handed to you. You see people accomplishing exceptional things. It's usually because they've worked really, really hard for it for quite some time, had some kind of game plan to get there. And even if you hit walls and you fail all over the place, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you won't have doors opening for you and you won't succeed in a tremendous way. Don't rejection or criticism in any way stop you. You're going to be criticized and rejected probably on a daily basis as an actor. So get ready for that. Get comfortable with that, because that's going to happen. And don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do what it is you want to go and do, because they're not you. And if they're criticizing you and drowning you in negativity, it's because they're jealous. It's a deep-seated negativity that's coming from them, which is rooted in fear. They're afraid that you're going to be more successful than them, or you're going to be happier than them, or you're going to have more than them, and they try and shit all over, your dreams. And just block it out, turn a deaf ear to it. If it means cutting that person out of your life, then do it, because it's going to be hard enough to get where you want to go. You don't need to be dragging all that negative baggage with you. So don't listen when someone tells you can't do something. I'm proof of that. People told me I was never going to do anything, that I couldn't sing, I couldn't write music, I wasn't pretty enough or tall enough to be a model, and that I couldn't act my way out of a paper bag. And I have a career of over 2 decades in all of those fields. So don't ever let anyone stop you for what it really is that you want to do. You just have to do one thing and one thing only. Believe in yourself and take steps every single day, every day, even on Sunday, 7 days a week, every day of your life. Take steps towards that goal.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Girl, you preach. Damn. Now, I feel like getting me a white robe on now. Find me some little women in the front of the pews and be like, come up, God, you can be blessed.
I call that the strong woman talking right
That's
there.
right. I love strong women. God, Lord. Well, how can people, if they want, if they're interested in purchasing your movies or watch them, are they on Netflix or Amazon or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. You can jump online, go to Amazon.com or Amazon Prime. There are tons of DVDs available and features available. Also on the Amazon Prime service, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can stream those films for free. There's a whole bunch of catalog of movies on there. Netflix, Hulu, iTunes, man, you name it, Xbox, all over cable, Sci-Fi Channel, the El Rey Network, whatever your digital cable service is that you might have, your pay-per-view films. I have films all over there, cable such as Showtime, the DVD rental box, those kiosks that you see, those red box kiosks that you see outside of drugstores and grocery stores nationwide. I have films in there, pretty much everywhere online. The Family Video Store, which is still a nationwide chain. I think they have about 700 or so stores still in the nation. If there's a Family Video Store near you, they also carry my films, DVDs and Blu-rays. I would just, I'd say Google the film that you're interested in, and it's out there somewhere for you. eBay, the people sell stuff on eBay. You can go to victoriademare.com. I have some merchandise for sale that my company will directly ship to you. I have my action figure, Batty Boop dolls that are signed and autographed for you, can be personalized if you choose, T-shirts, DVDs, CDs, photos, whatever it is that you might be looking for.
All right. Well, now let's switch it up again. Dang, dang. Let's try this next hour. Try to get in your music, writing, and dancing career. Whew, boy, this has been a good. Like I said at the beginning of the show, this girl got many, many talents. I bet her boyfriend, husband, whatever, is like, yes, he does. Yes, he does. So when did you start? Get me tickled thinking about it.
You have to use all your skills that you have in life to forge ahead. Use all your skills.
Use all the rod skills. Whoa. I need to channel the rod. Wow. So, when did you start singing, and what got you on the road into the music business?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, music is my passion. I was really inspired really, really young. My dad was a singer in the late 50s, a doo-wop band. Way before his time, he was the male white lead singer of an all-male black doo-wop band back in the late 50s. And I always loved playing my dad's 45 records and jumping around in my room with my sister, and that's Dad. And there were some pretty cool, pretty poppy, chill songs. And of course, whenever we went anywhere as a kid and a restaurant or bar and there was a band, my dad was always up there with the band by the end of the night singing something. You know, it was one of those things. So I started studying voice with a woman who was a member of the New York Opera Company when I was a little girl, and studied all kinds of vocalizations, including Italian arias and opera, musical theater, and everything else. And oh gosh, I was in all kinds of cover bands and whatnot when I was in college, all in New York City. Just trying to do anything musically was exciting. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I had the opportunity to meet Kim Fowley, who was a legendary Grammy-nominated songwriter and producer. He had created the Runaways back in the 70s, that Joan Jett's first band, and worked with everyone in that time, the 70s, 80s, from Alice Cooper to Motley Crue to Kiss to everyone, Led Zeppelin, everyone you could possibly think of. So I happened to meet him in a bookstore because I was appearing at this bookstore selling a magazine that I was in, and the publisher, editor-in-chief and publisher of the magazine was a colleague of Fally's and had invited him to the signing event, and he actually showed up. It's the one thing about Los Angeles, you never know who's going to walk through the door, and the publisher was introducing us. And at the time, by name, you don't necessarily know that name, but in the music business, you sure know the songs that he's written and produced and the people he's worked with. And of course, Kim Fowley had asked me, do you sing? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. And we started talking about cats, and he loves animals and cats, and so do I. And we started talking about our cats for some reason. And yes, we've had a photo of my cat on me. I'm like, yes. And we're looking at pictures of my cat. And it was just kind of really like this funny, fun kind of conversation. And when he left or whatever, the publisher said to me, like, well, you realize who you were just talking to? And I was like, yeah, I think so. But, and then he was telling me about all this stuff and showing me all this stuff. And I was like, wow. And I got a call a couple weeks later from Mr. Fowley telling me that at the time there was a film coming out about the Runaways, and Kristen Stewart was playing Joan Jett, and Dakota Fanning was playing Sherry Cree. Michael Shannon, who's an Academy Award nominated actor, was playing Kim Fowley in the film, and Lionsgate was producing it and releasing it, and it was like a really big deal. And he thought that this was his resurgence for another, maybe his fifth career. He was in his 70s by then, to the public, and that he was going to create the new Runaways, the 21st Century Runaways, and he wanted me to be the lead singer of that band. So I was like, sure, great. And so I started recording with him in this all-girl band that he had put together, and we recorded for a couple of years, some really amazing music, and really started writing songs with him. It was, you couldn't have possibly had a better teacher. And it was just thrilling working with him and walking into his home and just seeing walls of platinum records, and gold records everywhere you look, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He had approximately a 40-year career by the time he passed away. And it was just thrilling. It was just incredible. It felt so rock and roll, and just hearing all his stories and all the people that he worked with that were like legends, that were inspirations of mine. And then every band breaks up. No band stays together. And so, of course, our band broke up because everyone wanted to go off and start their own solo career. So I decided, okay, I'd go off and do my own solo career as well. So I started working with him on my solo career as an artist. And Kim was a control freak and liked to create bands and groups and such. And I was already in my 30s at the time, so I was like, well, I've already got a career going. You're not going to, create me. I already know. I'm already created. I already know what I want. And, a lot of these young teens, 20-something kids, people just formulate them into what they think that will sell, and the kid doesn't know better and just does whatever they tell them. But, a woman in her early 30s, she's like, well, no. So we parted ways, unfortunately, and I started working on my own solo career, really just with my own balls out this time, kind of doing it myself. I'm so sick of people trying to tell me what I should be, and I already know what I am. So I started working with film composer Michael Sean Collin on some pop music, and I was referred to him by filmmaker John Latago, and I knew Michael's film scores, which were amazing, and I also knew he had a hardcore industrial, techno-industrial band that kind of sounded like Nine Inch Nails and whatnot, that I thought was really cool. But Latago had said, hey, have you ever heard any of his pop music, like pop rock music and rock and roll music? And I was like, no, I didn't even know he produced music or created music like that. And so we got together, and I'd written a couple songs, and I started presenting one of my songs to him that I wanted to record, because Michael has a whole recording studio in his condo. And I started, presenting the song to him and singing along, and, here are the parts and this and that, and singing the main melodic line. And he just, picked up his guitar and just started playing along, and, exactly what I had written down on my notebook. And I'm sitting there looking at this like, holy shit. He didn't even, see that. He was literally hearing the music in my head. So we started working together, and we've done 3 albums. My first album was Victoria De Mare. It's self-titled, that came out in 2013. It's still available as a limited edition signed CD on my website. And then 2016, we released another pop rock album called Can You Not Tell, which is my first digital album. It's everywhere online. You can find it everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon, everywhere. And just last month, we released our third album, which is not a pop rock album. I'm just calling it a rock album because this album actually combines 8 different genres of music. And I know that's unheard of. You're not supposed to do that, but I don't give a fuck because I'm an indie artist. I'm not signed to any big company who's paying me to do whatever. So I'm creating and producing and recording the music that I like, that I think is good, and that is that I'm composing and is coming out of me that I think other people might like too. So there's a little something for everyone on this record. There's dance music, there's pop music, there's hard rock, there's pop rock, there's country rock, there's singer-songwriter folk, punk rock. There's a little bit of everything. There's jazz. There's a jazz track on there if you like jazz music. I had so many ideas and so many things, and I just hated because I worship music so much. And nowadays when you buy a record or something, every song sounds the same. They all sound kind of the same as the one song that you bought the record for. And I just hate that. I'm so against that. And why do you have to create songs that all sound the fucking same? Why can't they sound different? And why can't you put them all on one album? So I've done that. And the response has been overwhelmingly positive. I've gotten a lot of big people's attention, actually big listeners, people who could listen to my music and change my life overnight after 20 years are actually considering acquiring this music and listening to this music. So I'm really excited about it. I have a couple films coming out in the new film starring Richard Grieco and Tara Reid. My songs are in. I'm writing songs for that Hanukkah movie, and I have a couple really major publishing companies interested in offering me a publishing deal. So things are really, really coming together for me musically. My music career has really been only about half the time of my acting career. There, I said it's been about 10, 11 years musically straight professionally, which is a little less, about half than my career as an actor, but it's really my passion, my absolute passion. I love music. You can't go a day without listening to music, and I really feel that music is the only art where you can really reach the globe, but you can really bring the globe together as a community through music. Even if you don't speak the language or understand the language that the lyrics are being sung in, you still feel the power of the music and the message of the music. And I think globally we can all come together as a community through our love through music. So I think that's really the best way to reach the world. And you can help the world with that. You can help people. You can inspire them with your music. You can help heal them with their music. They might be going through something. They hear one of your songs and inspires them or heals them or reaches out to them in some way where they don't feel so alone and that maybe they're experiencing this and nobody understands. Then they hear your song and they're like, oh, someone who understands where I'm coming from. So I think it's a really good way to help and heal the world with music.
Preach it, girl. Preach it. I'm not even religious, but you're turning me religious. I just love your passion. I do. It's rare to hear that kind of passion from somebody.
And that much confidence.
Yeah, I love it.
I do too.
But I want to squeeze in a dance question before we go more into your music career. So what started your passion to become a dancer, and what type of dancing do you do?
Oh, thank you. My mom really inspired me as a dancer. She was a professional ballet dancer when I was born and when I was a little kid. So she used to take me to her classes and her rehearsals at the studio where she was studying and with the company that she was performing with when I was a kid. And I used to just love to sit there and peek into the studio and watch her rehearse and watch her study. And then I'd run back into the dressing room and try and do all the moves that she was doing and practice. And then when she was done her practice and she'd come back to get dressed, I'd be like, Mom, check it out. Look what I can do. And I'd be doing the moves that she was doing. And so she saw that really, really young. And I actually got a chance to audition for a role in a performance of the Nutcracker Ballet for the company that she was working for at the time, the Philadelphia Ballet Company. And I hadn't even studied. I hadn't taken one dance lesson yet because I wasn't allowed to start studying until I was 7, and I was actually 6 at the time. But I bugged her to audition, so she let me. And they hired me. So I got my first professional job as a dancer at 6 when I hadn't even taken a dance class and for a ballet company. So I was like, yeah, I thought I was a professional then. I was like, all right. I was in then when I was a little kid, and I was like, yeah, of course I got hired. Like I didn't understand what the big deal was. I felt right at home. I felt like it just came out of me. I was just meant to do it. I don't know, maybe it came from another life or something. So at 7, I started studying, and then I got into my first ballet company, the Wilmington Ballet Company, which is a regional ballet company in Delaware, when I was 11. So I was traveling to go and study and perform with this company, and also I would guess I was in 7th grade or whatever in school. So going back and forth from going to school and then traveling to go and to rehearse and study and perform with this company was like my job when I was like a little kid. So that just escalated into big starring roles and getting into companies such as the Joffrey, by the time I was 18. And I got so into film, theater, and TV in college. I kind of stopped pursuing a career as a professional dancer. I kind of had already done it and been a member of 3 companies by the time I was 18, 19. So I really started to get into jazz and hip hop and modern and contemporary dance. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I auditioned for the Hart Pulse Dance Company, which is a contemporary dance company that's ballet based. And that was really amazing and really wonderful. And we did some incredible performances. It was a really small company, so it was really hard to get in. And I auditioned and got in as a principal performer right away. And it was just so amazing. Some of the dancers had come from so many other different companies and had such incredible backgrounds. It was just such a thrilling time. And again, my career just as an actor got so big and busy that when my contract was up with Hart Pulse, I didn't actually end up auditioning for any more collective companies, and have been just doing freelance kind of performances and a lot of music videos. There's a lot of music videos that are produced and shot in California, so I've been in a lot of those and done some kind of solo performances here and there at venues in and around Hollywood and Los Angeles, California. But I've only really been asked to teach. I've only really taught dance when I've been asked to teach at certain schools as a guest teacher and whatnot, which is always really fun. I really prefer to work with children when it comes to being asked to do a guest class or something, because they're always like sponges and they want to, absorb the information and try really hard. Sometimes you get adults, they get frustrated and they're so negative and they're too old to get their leg up like that and this and that. And I don't believe in that kind of negativity. That kind of negative thinking is what's stopping you from getting your leg up there, not your body. So it's a little frustrating working with adults sometimes because they have so much lack and limitation programming when a child is just ready to go for anything. And it's fun to inspire a child because sometimes you could be inspiring a whole life. So that's really exciting. And I use dance a lot as an actor. I've been cast as a stripper so many goddamn times in movies. It's fantastic. It's becoming one of my signature roles, and it's so fun to play. So I continue to use dance as much as I can, even though I'm not a member of a collective company anymore. But it was the beginning of my career as a performer. So I have a sweet spot for dance in my heart. But I perform everything: ballet, contemporary, tap, jazz, hip hop. My favorite kind of dancing is it's a tie between ballet and breakdancing.
Cool. You're giving your age away. You know that, right?
Oh, I don't care. I don't care.
Because
for the longest time, nobody ever knew how old I was, and then some asshole put it up on IMDb, and now it's on Google, so there's nothing I can do about it. So.
Well, I'm not going to announce your age because, one, I don't know it, but you're talking about stuff that I grew up to, and I know my age.
Exactly. I grew up in the 80s. Let's just leave it at that, and people can do the math, okay?
I knew we had a connection, girl. I knew it. I did too. That's better than that one lady we had on. She was an actress, and she's like 30 years older than me, and she's talking about a connection we have, and I'm like, oh, lady, no. I don't think I can blow the dust off to, get that connection going. I'm sorry if I offended any ladies in the room tonight, but fucking get over it.
Yeah, there's no reason to be depressed about your age. All of us are getting older. There's nothing you can do about it, so just accept it and move on.
Exactly what I did. I accepted it, moved on, and Granted, I don't look like these motherfuckers that are my age, constantly pumping iron and all that shit. I'm like, I did that when I was younger. Well, I want to do it when I'm older now. Good Lord, that was work. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's work to stay fit.
I'm taking it away from you. I apologize.
It's okay.
I apologize. I get excited.
You're Batman. I'm Robin. I get it.
I'm Batman. It's straight. No. Batman. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So with talking about your music, what are your expectations on how it impacts people that listen to it?
Oh, I just hope that they get something positive out of it, that they have a good time with it, that it moves them in some way. I mean, I love all. I have a catalog of over 50 songs on the Warner Music Group Film and TV licensing catalogs, and 3 albums worth of material, plus material I've written with Kim Fowley and my current songwriting partner now. And I mean, I just every song that hits me and that I compose and produce and record, I think is a hit, and everyone's gonna love, and it's gonna change the world because it's gonna save lives, and everyone's gonna love it. So I just hope that they get something positive out of it. They enjoy it, they have a good time with it, and that it affects them in some way, in a positive way.
Well, what's your opinion about today's music from the time that you were growing up? Has it gotten better or gotten worse?
That's an interesting question. I prefer the music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I honestly really do. My favorite kind of music, honestly, is classical music. I'm a major Beethoven fan. He's my favorite. I'm working on my first full symphony at this time of my own. Again, something people laughed in my face that I would. You're going to compose a symphony? You don't know how to do that. Like, how are you going to do that? Well, wrong once again. So I'm composing my first full symphony, and it's thrilling, and my inspiration is coming from my favorite composer of all time, Beethoven. So I love music so much. It's one of those things where, art changes. There's a rhythm to it, just like fashion, but a lot of times it comes around again in the same vein. And what is classic and will live forever will always be classic and live forever because it's classic. So I think that kind of sound will come in again, and you do hear artists that they're trying to emulate that. A lot of the popular new current music today, I think it's kind of so, for lack of a better term, like cheaply put together, and not that it's not meaning inexpensive, but it's so thrown together with such packaged commercialism of, what kind of look of this person has. And just because a certain look that artist has doesn't mean that is the artist that you're hearing vocally. A lot of times you'll see something, believe it or not, there'll be different people singing on that record, and that might be that artist's voice on that record too, but there are other vocalists that are singing that are called ghost vocalists that are singing and getting paid to sing on these records, but they're mixed so brilliantly into the song and the track and the mix, you can't hear them separate from the other artist's voice, but they're using those vocalists because they're stronger and better to make the artist sound better. I know this because I've done this. I've done a lot of ghost vocal work for people that I cannot say. All kinds of artists, international and national. So that's an industry standard that happens all the time. And big artists, including people like Britney Spears, use those people. It's an industry standard thing that most people in the public don't know. So I'm really against that commercial kind of packaging where they pick this person's look, and then they got this person over here because then they sing really well, so then they'll be singing on it, and then they have a team of writers over here because most artists do not write their own songs. It's very rare nowadays where the artist that you're seeing or hearing perform actually wrote or created that song. It's a whole team of other people. So since I'm a songwriter and I write my own material, I'm fine writing with whomever wants me to write a song for them, as long as the check clears. But, I like to to also do my own things as well. And so, and the producers and the electronics, I mean, music sounds different now, and it's produced and created in a whole different way on WAV files and MP3 files and digital files, where it's not vinyl anymore. It's not recorded through analog. It's not even cassette tapes, not even CDs really anymore. It's everything is digital. So that is a whole different process of creating that sound with technology. And because of the explosion of technology, I guess, again, you just have to accept that, and when in Rome, do as the Romans do and just deal with it. It's very frustrating to me when I'm producing and creating music of my own, because I have to listen to these mixes on so many different devices, because the digital translation of compositions a lot of times gets lost in your device, where if you listen to it with headphones, you're like, oh wow, this song, there's all these other sounds in this song and instruments and sounds I didn't even hear because I was listening to it coming out of my phone, my smartphone, my Apple phone, or whatever the hell. And you lose most of the composition gets lost in that digital translation of your digital device. So it's frustrating as an independent music producer to go and get a list, because you listen to it in the studio, it sounds fucking great. And you listen to it with headphones, it sounds amazing. And you got to take a CD and listen to your car. Okay, then that sounds different in your car speakers. Then you got to listen to it on your iPhone or your iPad, and then it sounds different there. And then you listen to it on your laptop, and then it sounds different coming out of those speakers. So it's the way technology has just exploded has really changed the music business. It's changed how music is created, and it's changed how music is sold and what sells as well. So, and you kind of just have to play the game and do what's necessary to do what you need to do and what you need to get. So you do it. But I'm disappointed. I prefer the old school way of recording, and that, it's going to sound the same way in the studio that it's sounding, that it's going to sound on everybody's fucking record player that's playing this. It's going to sound the same. We don't have to spend, days and weeks of analyzing different equipment and going, you're sending this song to a major person that you want to possibly acquire your music and buy your music and make billions of dollars, but you're stressed out beyond belief because you don't know what device they're going to listen to it on, and it might sound differently. And if they don't listen to it headphones, it's not going to sound the way you want them to listen to it as. So it's maddening. It was so much better back in the day. In our day, it was so much better and much easier too. The market is so oversaturated with the fucking reality shows with the people coming on and singing and this and that just because they can sound like Adele or they can sound like Rihanna or this and that. I'm a vocalist. I sound different depending on what the sound is in the song and what emotion or person that I'm trying to convey. I hate those singers where they sound the same on every song. They can only sing one way and only sound one way, and that's fine. But I admire people who are vocalists where you're never quite sure, is that the same person singing? Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Okay, well, they sound so totally different. That's impressive to me. So, there's very little of that in today's music business. Everyone's just a singer, and as long as they sound like someone who's already sold $1 billion worth of records, then that's all the music business cares about, because all they care about is the money. And if you sound like someone that sold that much, then they could probably make you sell that much, and then they'll make that much money out of you because you sound like the person. So, with me, I don't sound like anyone. I sound like Victoria De Mare. That's what I sound like, because I'm not trying to sound like any of those other artists, because that's them and this is me. So I've had most people, the A&R people that listen to my music, their number one question is this the same girl? Yeah, it's the same girl, all right. It's just she's going through a different emotion.
Wow. That's just like back in the day, going, you buy a cassette and then you go to a concert and you're like, who the hell's this?
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
exactly. Well, that's why it's exactly right, and that's very frustrating. I totally agree. Like I have to sound live the way I sound on my recordings. Absolutely. And it's so hard and it's so rare that you actually see people do that. I mean, the industry standard now is just to sing along to your own record. And you see it happening all the time in big award ceremonies like the Grammys and big theatrical performances like the halftime at the Super Bowl and this and that. These big performances where millions upon millions of people are watching, right? And you see it happen all the time. With big Katy Perry, Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears. You know, I mentioned Justin Bieber. I mentioned these people because whether you like them or not, they're top sellers. And you see them in a show, and you're like, God, that sounds exactly like the CD. This is great. Well, it's because they're singing along to their CD. The musicians are playing along to the CD. The CD is actually playing, and everyone is singing and playing along to it. And if you want, Lady Gaga does it. They all do it. It happens all the time. You know, Katy Perry during a New Year's Eve performance will be, you know, sauntering around doing her thing, and it sounds really great because it sounds just like her record. And then she stops singing for a second, does a little move, or turns away from the mic, yet you still hear her voice singing loud and clear, but her mouth isn't moving and she's not even on the mic. They do it. They slip up and do that all the time because she's singing along to her CD, and so that's why it sounds so good at concert. But you know, you go and see Fleetwood Mac, or you go and see the Eagles, or you go and see, you know, Pat Benatar or someone like that, and they're really singing it and playing it and doing it like old school. So that's rare.
Well, what does it take to get into the music business besides hard work?
Relentless tenacity. That's how you get into the music business. Relentless tenacity. Just writing a song about everything. Kim Fowley always taught me, whatever's going on in your life, write a song about it, write a song about it, write a song about it. I mean, he made an extraordinary success off of, you know, a couple handfuls of songs, but the man had a catalog of thousands. You just don't know what song is going to hit, what's going to go, what's going to be licensed into what movie or TV or show or commercial, and what people are really going to like. You just don't know. So you just keep writing and recording as much as possible and keep writing songs about it, because inevitably someone might be able to identify with it. Anything in the arts and the music business and Hollywood and the movie business, anywhere, just absolute relentless tenacity and just not taking no for an answer. If you feel that that is your passion, then there is someone out there for you that is going to hear it and is going to be the yes person in your life. So just keep looking for that person.
Oh, okay. Well, where do you perform, and do you do any tours across country?
I haven't yet. I've only been performing locally in Los Angeles and Southern California. I've mostly been writing and recording music, releasing music online, and placing music in movies. So I've only performed in the past few years when asked. I wrote an excerpt for a book called 88 Ways Music Can Change Your Life. There were 2 volumes of that book, and actually a second issue of that book coming out. I wrote another story for, and they did a national tour promoting their book when it was published and released. And in each city that they went to, if they had an artist that had contributed to the book and was one of the writers, they asked them to perform if they were interested. And when they came out to California, I did perform. I went up to Santa Barbara and performed at that show, which was really super fun. And I did a New Year's Eve show in Hollywood this past New Year's Eve, January 1st, 2018, which was really super fun. And I've done another couple local shows only by request, because what you hear in my music is 2 people creating that, myself and my partner, Michael Sean Collin, who plays mostly all the instruments and performs all the male background vocals, and I perform all the lead vocals and female background vocals, and we create everything together in his studio. So when he's playing the acoustic guitar, the electric bass, and the piano and everything, he can't do all that at one time live. You know, obviously, to hire separate studio musicians and performers to do that live. So when we perform, we just do an acoustic set of our songs, of just me singing and him playing and singing along, because we can't do the full production of the recordings, with just 2 people. It's physically impossible. So to do any kind of major Vic Worldwide tour, which is my music distribution company, there'd have to be some money behind that, and I'd have to hire the other musicians to play the other instruments and other parts for the purpose of the live performance only, because again, that's just not possible for me to sing all the background vocals and the lead vocals at the same time, and for Michael to play all the instruments at the same time.
Okay, I think it's your turn.
It is my turn. You're also a writer of poetry. How difficult?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What?
You don't understand what I'm dealing with over here. How difficult is it to take time, to sit down and write because you're so busy?
Thank you. It just hits me. I wrote a lot of poetry about 8, 9, 10 years ago that was published. And at the time it was just stuff that was just hitting me, and I was finding the time to sit down on my downtime to get it actually down on paper. It's the same with songs, the lyrics, the music, all the different parts and everything all hit me at once, and so I just have to, just find a napkin or anything that is anything legible to write down on to get it all down, because you think you'll remember it and you won't. So as far as writing any kind of poetry or short stories, really just kind of hits me. And when it does, then I'll sit down and get it on paper. But I'd like to eventually publish a book of my own poetry and songs and short stories and such that I've written. But there's so many other things going on musically and with my acting career at this moment that publishing my own book of that stuff has kind of taken a back seat to everything else. But it's something I have in the works.
Okay. Does that make sense?
No, because I'm going to let you ask it.
Okay, well, I want to ask her question. What is the process? What's the process, the steps it take, from you writing a song and to it becoming a track to be recorded in a studio? Is there a process and steps that you have to go through?
Oh yeah, it's thrilling. I'm inspired by a lot of things that I have in my current daily life. So I'm just really fortunate to have like a lifetime worth of inspiration and things that I can pull from to write about. It always starts with a feeling, an emotion, an instance with an individual that's affected me in some way. And usually it just hits me. I mean, it could be, standing in my bathroom in the morning getting ready to start my day, and in the shower, I was driving down the road the other day, and a song hit me, and I had to pull over so I could get it recorded onto my phone so I didn't crash and cause an auto accident. It kind of just hits me, and when it does, I get all the lyrics, all the vocal melodies, all the instrumental parts and melodies all down. And then I call up my partner, Michael Shancom, and tell him I've got a song to present. We got to get in the studio and record this. And we get together and hash it out in an arrangement and just start recording it. Just try and get a rough arrangement down, start getting the instruments recorded, and then get in there and do some vocal sessions, which usually I only do one vocal session per song. If I have to go back in and do something else, it's just because of something that really just irritated me, that just didn't sound the way it sounded in my head. And you get it all recorded, and then you mix it and master it, and it's just the most thrilling thing in the entire world to hear something actually physically playing that you created, that you heard in your head when you were in your bathtub, a couple of weeks ago or something. It's really exhilarating. So it kind of it hits me, and then I got to get it done and record it. I'm always really excited to record it really quickly, because I get all about it and all inspired and everything. So I want to get it recorded and done, as quickly as possible. I mean, I can write a song as quickly as 10, 15, 20 minutes, but getting into recording it, it might take an hour or two to get an arrangement going, and an hour or two to record, each part. And so, I could record an entire album and 14, 15 track album in a week, no problem. It's just as far as scheduling the time with my partner to get into his recording studio, which is his home. So I have to work around, of course, his schedule with his family and whatnot. So it's just as far as scheduling, I guess, is the most challenging part of the process. But hearing that final recording is mind blowing. I'll listen to a song that I've created, that I've recorded, and I have a final mixed master recording of it 100+ times. I just keep listening to it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Wow. That does sound like a great process. So,
yes, it's fun.
what advice would you give someone, that's wanting to work in the music industry and become a singer or songwriter or, whatever other fields within the industry? What advice would you give them?
Don't do it. No. Turn it back. No, that's not true at all. I would tell them to just again just ask yourself that question, like what do you want your identity to be in the music business? Because there are so many different positions. Do you want to be the out front artist and the face of, or do you want to be the songwriter and the creator of the music, behind the scenes? Or do you want to do both? That's difficult. Or do you want to produce it? Do you want to take all these elements and put it together and create this final recording? Do you want to arrange it? Are you one of those people wants to arrange the way a song is played and heard? Or do you want to be one of the musicians, and do you just want to get in there and just make music? Or do you want to be one of those promoters, or someone who really just loves what they're hearing and they just want to get out there and promote that? Or if you want to be a publisher and publish music or sell music, it just depends on what your passion really is. If it really is to be a singer or a songwriter, if it's all just about singing, then I guess you really have to decide, what kind of music do you want to sing? Can you sing everything? Can you only sing one type of music or one kind of sound? Or, can you sound like Janis Joplin, Karen Carpenter, and Madonna, who are all very, very different singers, some of which some people don't even think those women were singers? Or do you just want to sound like someone like Adele and just sing that? Or do you just want to sing other people's material, or do you want to sing your own? It just really depends on what you really want. If you want to be, an artist and the front man of your group or a solo group, or put a band together, you have to have really tough skin, because everyone's going to tell you how awful you are before anyone tells you that they thought that you were great, or they liked your sound, or they liked your song. So if you're going to be an artist and be the front man or woman, you really have to have tough skin, and just really love that position of being the one that all eyes are on. Some people would prefer just to be the songwriter and never be out in front and just write songs for everyone and anyone. And then you have all these other artists performing your songs, and you're the songwriter and collecting all the money, because also what people don't realize is all the publishers and the songwriters make the most money in the business. Yes, the artists make a lot too, but think about how much money all those artists made, and then double or triple that is what the songwriters and the publishers of those songs have made. And a lot of those people love that, because they can be anonymous. They can head into Target and the grocery store and Walmart. No one knows who the fuck they are, and they don't care. But then they can hear in the store all their hit music playing all over the radio, and they're just ranking in, millions upon billions of dollars. So it just really depends on what you want. But if you're going to forge a career as being a singer or a songwriter, if you want to be a songwriter, get really good at it. Get really, really good at it. Learn how to write every different genre there is, and learn how to write really, really good songs with really strong hooks that can be easily placed and sold in major commercial markets. Otherwise, don't do it, because there's already a ton of really, 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 really good songwriters. And if you want to be an artist, you got to have really thick skin. You got to get that tortoiseshell out and get ready for everyone to criticize how awful you are, even if you're not.
That's some great advice.
How can someone purchase your music or be able to listen to your songs?
My music is available over online. You can purchase it on Amazon. You can purchase it on iTunes. You can stream it on Spotify. You can stream it on YouTube. You can stream it on Apple Music and Pandora, I believe it's on now. You can stream it on Google Play is another service. Dozens of digital services worldwide. You can stream or download all of my music. I have 2 digital albums out and several singles and ringtones out that you can acquire. And my first album is only available as a limited edition CD, which you can purchase from my website, victoriademare.com.
Awesome. Well, we're getting ready to wind this down, so I do have a question that I'd like to ask most of my guests. I try to do all, but sometimes the time limits me. But seeing that you have done horror movies and such, have you had any personal experiences, with the paranormal or any cryptozoology or any UFO encounters?
That's interesting. I mean, I haven't on set at all, really, except actually that's not true. One film that I did, a short film that I worked on a couple months ago, I would say the end of the summer, was a short film that is not out yet. And we were shooting in a house that was technically haunted, that the owners of the house were there and describing the history of the house and why it was haunted and who it was haunted by, and it was really fascinating and interesting. And we were shooting. This house had an underground tunnel that went from the main house to the guest house and pool area, and we were shooting in this tunnel, and it was already lit and dressed and decorated in a very ominous way for the film. But there was an energy down there. There was a dark energy down there that didn't have anything to do with the film, and that I could feel a presence down there, and it was really trippy and really, really, really interesting. And the owner of the home did confirm that the woman who was the spirit of the woman who was still living there, or the ghost, whatever you want to call it, was down in that hallway, and that is where she believes that her spirit still looms. And so I thought, I knew it. I could feel something. And she told me a story about how they had taken down the guest house. They had demolished it because they were building a new one. And the day after the old structure had been demolished to the ground, this was a really, really, really old house in Bel Air, California, and it had an old telephone system where it had the different lines, and it had, like, in the master bedroom one of those old boxes that had the line going to the guest house and the kitchen and the cellar and this and that, and it had all the different lines and, like, the different lights on it. And she was in her bedroom, and one of the lines started ringing, and one of the lights started flashing, and she was home alone. And so she looked, what is happening? And the line was blinking from the guest house. Well, the guest house had been demolished to the ground a day or two before. So she was very, very freaked out and, looked out the window. No, there's no house. It's all the rubble on the ground, and answered the line. She figured, she might as well answer it, and was, hello. And she heard nothing but a crackling kind of sound to it, because there was no house, there was no line, there was no telephone line or anything even going to that house anymore. It didn't exist. So a line's ringing when there isn't a line, and that's like a horror movie. And this was not the movie. This was real life. And she was completely freaked out. And I thought, oh my God, that would make me really scared and like want to move. And she said she wasn't frightened at all, that she's never had a negative encounter with this spirit, that she thought that the spirit was just trying to communicate with her. Apparently the woman in her final days had died in the guest house, had moved from the main house to the guest house, and was living out there when she died. So I would assume that she was very disturbed that this woman, destroyed her house and was building a new one, and maybe was communicating about it. I don't know. But that was one instance I had. And the building that I live in Hollywood is haunted, and it's very, very, very old. It was built in the 30s, up in the Hollywood Hills, and there have been quite a few deaths since the 30s in this building. And I know that there's several spirits in the building, and a spirit that has come into my home, into my unit in the building, and I haven't seen this person I haven't seen anything physical about the spirit or the energy of this person, but I've felt the person. you can feel someone's energy, just like if someone's standing behind you and you turn around, your friend's standing behind you. It's all energy. So even if you turn around and you don't see anybody there, that doesn't mean that energy is not there. And so I felt it or whatever. And this is a female spirit, and she's very friendly. And I have a cat, and apparently my cat has seen her and rubbed up against her and whatnot. And she's very friendly, and so that's been an experience that I've had in my own home, which is really thrilling. I'm not frightened by it really. I'm fascinated by it, and so it's never really affected me in a terrible way, thank goodness.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
I live up near where like the Hollywood sign in Hollywood is, and unfortunately there have been a lot of deaths in and around this area of people throughout the 20s and 30s and whatnot, way back in the beginning of Hollywood, where actors and actresses climbed up to the Hollywood sign and hung themselves or threw themselves off, or shot themselves in the head and killed themselves, committed suicide. So there's a lot of lost souls and different kind of energy and dark energy and good energy. I mean, people who have just died from just, dying, not necessarily taking themselves out or anything like that, but their spirits and their energies are kind of still looming and around. So other neighbors and such of mine have had experiences with spirits from another dimension, I think, because I live in an area where there's been a lot of death, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, seeing how you live underneath the Hollywood sign, I take it you see all the people that come up there to get pictures of themselves with the Hollywood sign.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Like it's awful, and there's nothing much you can do about it, because when you're living under one of the most recognizable landmarks on Earth, there's going to be a lot of tourism to that spot. That should be pretty obvious. But where I live, up in the neighborhood where I live, that it was too hard for people to find for many, many years. But because of the explosion of technology and Google Maps and all these satellite, this and that fucking GPS, you can, get anywhere. You can find anywhere. So people are getting up to a portion of my neighborhood now, especially over the past few years, 10 times more so than they ever have before, unfortunately, because of technology. And it's getting so bad that the local residents in this area are kind of getting sick of it and over it, because the tourism from all corners of the earth isn't always really so nice and friendly and respectful of the neighborhood and the history that they are in and around. And, they just think it's a big Hollywood movie, and they're there with their trailer and their family, and they're taking pictures, and that's great and everything. But this isn't a movie. This is real life. People actually live and work up here. So, respect that, respect the history and the residential neighborhood and the people who live there. And unfortunately, the tourism they just don't. So it's going to get to the point where they're going to get that ability taken away from them to come up so close to the Hollywood sign and so close to this neighborhood and area, because they're abusing it. So unfortunately, they're going to lose that privilege soon. But the tourism's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Well, I know in 2011, when we were out there shooting for My Ghost Story, we went up there, and the road that takes you there, I was like, am I in somebody's driveway going up through here? Because we're so small. Then when we got up there, there's all these other cars, and I kept telling the people that was with me, I'm like, okay, we going to take a couple pictures, and get the hell out of here. I said, these people going to get pissed and start shooting somebody.
Yeah, like the people just pull right into your driveway, and you're coming out trying to get to work, trying to make my call time for whatever, recording session or movie set I'm trying to get to, and someone's parked their camper right in front of my driveway, and then, walked off on a hike to take some pictures, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you common sense, you're like, people live here, and so, and people are just messy and dirty. This is an extremely clean neighborhood up here, and people live there garbage and trash, and just, you're not allowed to smoke up here at all. It's very, very dry. The fire, it's high fire season in Southern California right now, and it's just so dry that one little match or cigarette butt will just start a blazing fire, which will just destroy acres and acres of people's homes and historical land and landmarks. And They just don't care. They just they see the signs, $1,000 fine if caught smoking, no smoking anymore. And you see them up there, smoking right in front of your house. And you're like, what are you doing? Can you not read? It's just awful. Just the lack of respect of people that, they treat it like Disneyland. Disneyland's down in Anaheim. Go down there for that, theme park attraction. This is not a theme park. This is where people live. So it's just awful. That's so funny that you came up and you noticed that too. It's just awful.
It is. It was because, like I said, when we was traveling, I thought we was going the wrong way. I'm like, this cannot be the road that takes us up here. And the girl sitting there with the GPS. Well, that's what it's saying. I said, this is people's driveway. This goes right into people's houses. What do you? No. Yeah. And then when we got up there to the top, I'm like, well, I guess you're right, but holy shit, what a clusterfuck right here. Oh, my God.
Exactly. And it's all those GPS, and all the locals that live up here hate it and hate that GPS because people didn't used to be able to find it before because they were like you. They'd be like, where are we going here? This is someone's home. This is someone's driveway. This is someone's, private road or what are we doing here? And they'd turn back. Like you have common sense, but, the people, most people just don't care, and they come up and, there used to not be any permit parking situation in my neighborhood where you could just park anywhere. Anyone could park for free, all day long. There might be street cleaning on some days where you might have to be concerned about that for a couple hours, but there was no meter parking, there was no permit parking, there was no pay parking. And now because of the explosion of technology, GPS and Google Maps, now they're starting to create permit parking where people are going to have to pay to come up here and park here. And so that might help to eliminate it a little bit, but they still do come up and just park illegally and they get a ticket and they don't care and they go. But when it starts costing the residents money for having to apply for permits to park in their own neighborhood because of the tourism, then that's not cool. That just gets ugly.
Yeah. You got a question?
I do. I have a quick question. As far as the older actresses like the Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn, Sophia Loren, which one of those are your favorite?
Oh, Marilyn Monroe, hands down. I think that she's a fascinating individual and died very young. A legend in her own time, but I think that she could have been so much more. She was a great example of just someone who was entirely used and abused in Hollywood. She was the highest grossing star in her studio, 20th century at the time, and they hadn't combined with Fox yet. And she didn't. I mean, there's a whole Marilyn Monroe museum that went up a few years ago in Hollywood, and all this documented information that you can see and read and take pictures of that you may have never known before. And there's all these documents and bank documents and stuff of how she was worth. She was raking in a certain amount of money, but the studio never increased her contract from when she was signed as a day player. Making $500 a month or whatever it was at the time, and never increased her salary from that rate, even when she was the highest grossing star at 20th Century. So I think that's disgusting and horrible, but she's still the most famous movie star of all time, female movie star of all time, and I think a lot of what happened to her, people just don't know. And so I think that I think her story is really tragic, but I would definitely say her. I mean, I love Audrey Hepburn, I love Sophia Loren, I love them all. I'm also a huge Jane Fonda fan. I think that she's amazing. Raquel Welch, again, is another super favorite of mine from way back classic Hollywood. But yeah, Marilyn Monroe, to become an icon in your own time and to become so iconic that you are still an icon, generations upon generations upon generations later, where children in obscure countries in Africa know who you are. You know what I mean? That's incredible. She'll live throughout time, but her story was very tragic.
Well, the next little question we'll have, and we'll let you go, is what's your plans for the rest of 2018, and if you want to go ahead and give out your website again and any contact information you want to get out to everyone.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you having me on. I have a new song out, a new single out now that came out October 5th that I co-wrote and I performed the lead vocals on. It's called Drowning. I am not the artist. The artist is a New Zealand Sony artist, former Sony artist named Mark Tierney. I mentioned him before. He's also a photographer, but he is a songwriter, producer, and an artist. And his new music, this has been his new music since 22 years ago, since he's released anything. And I was really thrilled to get the call to work on his first single out in 22 years. So it's out now. It's on YouTube. It's on Amazon. It's on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else. It's called Drowning. It's a pop dance song. Again, I performed the lead vocals and I co-wrote it, but I am not the artist. So when you see the artist name Mark Tierney, don't let that throw you. And the music video is out as well, actually, the censored version of the music video. There will be an uncensored, sexier version released soon, so that's super exciting. And I'm still in production on the Hanukkah film, and I'm starring in with Sid Hagen, PJ Souls, Sadie Katz, and Charles Bleschner, called Hanukkah. We're wrapping on production this month. It's been really exciting, and I'm in production of writing the theme song, which will actually be a Christmas song, my first original Christmas song that I'll be composing. They wanted something kind of old school, a la Darlene Love style. So we're going with that feel and vibe for the theme song, which I'm really excited about. I'm currently performing in my 8th season on the LA Haunted Hayride, which is their 10th anniversary. Over the past 10 years, they've been voted one of the most popular Halloween attractions in the world. So really excited to be performing in my 8th season with them, which is going on now in Los Angeles, California, specifically taking place in Griffith Park in the historic old zoo section of the park. It's a really incredible show and event, so everyone should come out to that if they can. It'll be running Thursday through Thursday through Sunday next week, and then Wednesday all the way through to Halloween. It's been going on the past couple weekends, Friday through Sunday. They're doing some evening shows and events as well during the week. So check that out if you can, if you're in the LA area. And my new album, #Twat, is out. It combines 8 different genres. There's 14 tracks on it. There's a little something for everyone, and that's out now, available everywhere online. Predator World was just released, which is a sci-fi action film directed by Jeff Leroy. I play a small role in it, and one of my punk rock songs appears in 2 scenes in the film. So you should check that out. It's super fun. You can get that on Amazon, Walmart, iTunes, wherever you might buy your movies. Tara Reid's new horror movie, Bus Party to Hell, is out now. I don't appear in the film as an actor, but 2 of my songs appear in the film, which is really awesome, one of which is the end credits. And the same end credit song is also the main menu page on all the DVD and Blu-ray discs of Bus Party to Hell. You can also get that everywhere, Walmart, Amazon, Redbox, everywhere that's pretty much available. And, I have new music that I'm composing for the next film that Tara has coming out, which is also a horror film, also starring Richard Grieco, I think I mentioned earlier, directed by Ralph Konevsky, called Art of the Dead. That's a really exciting film that should be out soon, that I, again, don't appear as an actor in, but I am I have a couple songs in it, hopefully more than a couple, so we'll see.
Wow.
And then in November, I'm working on a couple films in November, a really fantastic short film that is a spec performance for a feature that hopefully will be produced next year, and another feature film that I'm working on, I think I mentioned earlier, directed by Michael Finley, called Ball and Chain. It's an outrageous comedy where I play this woman named Pam Paczynski, who's a total hot mess. I mean, just everything that could go wrong for this woman goes wrong and has been going wrong for many years. So I'm really excited to play that role. And it's going to be pretty full for November. I have a couple films also coming out in November, December, towards the end of the year. So it's going to be nothing but movies and music mania. Everyone can check out my website, victoriademare.com. There's music and movies and press and photos and information. There's a store on there where you can buy some fun collectibles. And I'm all over social media. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Victoria De Mare on those sites. And on Facebook, I'm at Victoria De Mare on my Facebook fan page. I do have a personal page, which I usually am at my 5,000 friend limit, but every once in a while, a couple friends or fans will trickle off. So send me a friend request and get in the queue, because when people trickle off and unfriend me or unfollow me, then I'm happy to add new fans as friends, just as long as you stay cool and don't do anything weird or disrespectful, and I will add you as a friend on my personal page as well.
You're it, guys. No dick pics.
Yes, please. Oh God, please. I don't know what they think they accomplished with that, but no dick pics. That's not going to get me to respond to you any faster. I also do have a YouTube channel called Death by Kisses. I have a bunch of couple videos and reels and clips from movies on that you can subscribe to. And if you use SoundCloud.com at all, I have a SoundCloud.com page as well with a variety of 14 different tracks from my first album, second album, and third album, all kind of mixed in together in there. And you can subscribe to that and stream those songs for free.
Well, wow. You heard, lady. You know where to go get it. So go get it. Well, Victoria,
right.
I do. It has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. And anytime that you'd like to come back, or if I ask you to come back, you can. If I have a random call. All right.
I'd love to. Maybe by that time I'll have a chance to check out one of the Killjoy films, and maybe you can get yourself a Killjoy T-shirt. You can wear me right on your chest every day. Batty Boop is right dead center on the Killjoy T-shirts. I think they're like $20 or $25 online. So
I'm gonna have to do that.
You can wear them every day.
But
you'll have to get yourself a doll. You could get yourself a doll, and then you could put me on your nightstand, and I could go to bed with you every night.
That's what I was looking at, the doll. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to get you the autograph. It's real special for me. To Rodney, I'm always thinking of you. I'll be like, look.
Exactly.
She's always thinking about fuck y'all.
That's exactly right. Well, the holiday season is upon us, so everybody get out their Christmas list and ask Santa for a signed Batty Boop resin doll statue and action figure. She is an action figure. She comes on a platform, so she's easy to display, but her tail moves, so she is technically an action figure, so you can play with her.
Oh, what's that? Now, can I get life size of that? I mean, or is it like 8-inch? I mean, because if it's a life size, that brings a whole different dimension to this whole conversation.
Oh.
Unfortunately, she's miniature size right now, but you are not alone. I have honestly had many fans inquire about a real life size Batty Boop doll. So you are not alone. You're not alone. I'll pass it along.
We're working on a Phantom Fest here in our area this year. It'll be a first one. Maybe next year, if you could squeeze in a day or two, maybe you'd be interested in coming out. I mean, people around here, not only would I love to see you, but they would love to see you.
Oh, I'd love it. Have whomever needs to hit me up on Facebook or any social media. I have an email on the homepage of my website you can hit me up at. I would love to attend any fest or any convention that you guys might have going on out there.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'd be the one hitting you up because I'm the one that's off I'm the one to be working my tail off on this, and my tail don't wiggle like yours. Damn.
Well, I'd love to come out. Thank you.
We would. We'd love to have you. All right. We already got one guest or speaker or
for 2019.
For 2019. Yeah.
There you go. You've already got one. You're good. Once you got one, other people will jump on.
Literally, they will really want to jump on you. Really. You be coming into the country, girl.
They lose their damn mind.
Mind, shit, junk, everything. Wives and girlfriends be, I don't see anything so pretty about her. I'd be like, she got all her teeth. I want all kinds of things tonight.
They're dropping off right now.
Hey, motherfuckers are dropping like, fuck y'all too. Well, Victoria, I'll let you go. It was great. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's been an honor, a pleasure, and I will hook up with you again. Well, I don't mean it like that.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much, Rodney. Thank you, both of you, for your time. It's been such a joy to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is ours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you have a good night in that California sun. Well, it's already went down, but enjoy it. It's starting to get cold out.
You guys have a good night.
Hey,
Thank
you too.
You so
Thanks
much. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you too.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome. No, you can't. I mean, when you have a great guest like that, man, you're just like, whoa.
She's so real.
So real. I love that.
Yeah.
That confidence. Oh, my gosh. Girl knows her shit. Well, you've already heard me say and welcome her back. But next week, our guest is on Thursday night, October 18th. Will be author and radio TV host Sam Bartoris. I hope I didn't tear his name up because I actually went to see how that is pronounced. And he's from up New England way, so I probably fucked it up.
If you butchered it, he'll straighten you out.
He'll straighten that. Hey, you know them. A lot of these people straighten my ass out real quick. Well, you all be safe. Have a good weekend. We love you. You got anything you want to say?
Good night, everyone.
I love it when she sings that like that.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, Melinda will be at FanFest too. So any of y'all want to check her out?
Yeah.
She'll be there as Maleficent.
Yeah, Maleficent. All right, Rodney.
Okay.
Do you hear him? The Phantom is coming. Are you ready?
Phantom Fest is going to be held on November 3rd in Lebanon, Virginia at the Russell County Convention Center. You won't want to miss this one-of-a-kind con that combines all the mysteries and the macabre of UFOs, paranormal, gaming, horror, authors, comics, FX, metaphysical, spiritual, and more. Join us for $7 at the door. Tickets will only be $5 if you bring 2 non-perishable items for a local food bank. Children up to the age of 6 can join us for free. There will be costume contests, speakers, and just the camaraderie of freaks alike. Join us for the first ever Phantom Fest. You won't want to miss this.
If you would like to participate as a vendor or a sponsor or just to visit the con, please reach out to either Rodney Shortridge of Black Diamond Paranormal or Missy and Ashley Connor of the Connor Sisters.
That's it for us tonight. I want to thank everyone that took the time to listen in. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network and to Ryan for putting up with us. Also to all the first responders and our men and women in the armed services, thank you for your service and the sacrifices that you and your families make every day to keep our great nation safe. Tune in next week to another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone can go to our Facebook page Within the Chaos, and don't forget to like our page. to see upcoming guests along with past shows, postings, or you can also go to my website at www.blackdiamondps.org or blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. Also, we have a YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, look up Within the Chaos for past shows. Thanks again. Until next week, everyone have a safe weekend and have a good night. And love you all. Be careful out there.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. Those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight.
to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Earning an executive MBA at Georgetown isn't the path of least resistance, but it does come with the greatest reward. Benefit from our strong alumni network, renowned faculty, DC location, and global residencies. Get started at choosegeorgetown.com/EMBA.